Snowbirds are back and they're returning to the Suncoast, and frankly, a U.S. that is a little bit different. Red tide devastated the tourism industry on the Suncoast, with retailers struggling to service the impact of the old red tide returns. The Canadians love our temperate climate and the escape from the chilly temps up north. On the other hand, the only thing chillier than a Canadian winter are the current relationship between the Canadian Prime Minister and the President Trump. Trump slapped tariffs on Canadian steel. So with friends like that, joining us for more, Virginia Haley, president of Visit Sarasota, Kevin Cooper, the president of Sarasota Chamber of Commerce, and Jerry Zivick, an ABC 7 consumer watchdog, and we welcome to you all. Virginia, I'll start with you and start by asking you, how can we measure in terms of the number of snowbirds, whether they're from Canada or elsewhere, that may be hesitant to return because of the red tide situation?
Well, we look at two groups of visitors. The snowbirds are the seasonal residents who own a home here, come every winter. We've seen no evidence that that pattern's going to stop in any way. In terms of visitation, where they have more choices, they're usually coming for a shorter stay, renting a place for a month. One of the biggest things is the way we've talked about Florida to that Canada market. It really isn't a political issue. It's that as a state, Florida lost market share because they failed to recognize how diverse Canada is. Canada's not a country that is all white, 60-year-old males.
And we're losing market share to who?
California and Hawaii.
Well, I'm going to want to get into that a little bit more later. Kevin, can you see the impact this has had on economic development and the business of Sarasota?
Yeah, I think Virginia touched on it pretty well. When you break it down into two categories, snowbirds are those that we see as temporary seasonal residents. And I'm not selling my house. Virginia's not selling her house. We're going to stay here. People that are invested in a home and a property here are going to stay here. They're not going to be so shaken by the red tide piece. But what we are seeing is occupancy rates fall a little bit during the heavy red tide season. People looking out further that may be a little bit more concerned about coming here because of red tide. But in a general sense, when we think about the snowbirds, those that have invested in property here, those that are seasonal residents, there's really little concern about the economic impact of those folks coming back here and being regular parts of our society like they always have for years.
But are retailers hanging on? I mean, they have been devastated for months now. Are they still in business? Have a lot of them lost their business? Are they prepared, and in place for snowbirds to come back?
Yeah, I don't think we've seen a mass number of closures yet from a business perspective, and I think there is probably a hanging on, hopefully, that this season is going to be strong, that people are going to come back, that consumer sentiment stays strong, that the economy stays strong, and we have every reason to believe that it will. Headwinds kind of lean favorably in our direction, so if we hit that thing, we have a good stride, we go into the next season strong, I think there's every reason to believe that those businesses will stick around.
And Jerry, one of the stories I saw is that what's hurting Canadian tourism in particular is the fact that their currency versus ours.
I don't know that that's as big an impact. I actually think red tide is a bigger impact than both of our guests are saying. I know of two instances of people that own condos on Siesta Key, and they came down and they were intending to stay for an extended period of time, and they left because they had respiratory irritations. So I think there's a bigger impact than you would expect. I think currency always fluctuates. So I don't know that that's the be-all to end-all for the loss of tourism.
All right, we're going to have to take a quick break. Our conversation on the return of the snowbirds continues right after we get a check on our first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Well, get a look at this. This is our tower cam getting that, again, the nice shot that you see right there. Actually, this was a shot sent in, and we've had some unusual cloud formations as a result of this cold front that's sliding on by right now. And this front is going to continue to move off toward the south and bring in some cooler and dry air. The high today was 81 degrees, and temperatures have fallen pretty significantly since that high. And you see our low this morning was well above average, and we are anticipating temperatures to actually be a little bit below average on Wednesday and Thursday into the mid-70s. Our typical high right around 78 degrees. Here's the tower cam shot showing you that impressive roll cloud rolling on through and not bringing any rain. That one wasn't, but the prefrontal trough did bring some rainfall our way earlier. Temperatures are starting to cool down behind it. Already 52 in Pensacola, 63 in Tallahassee. Temperatures dropped some 10 degrees from our high already, down to 71 in Sarasota. The Gulf water temperature at 74. That's cooling. Just a week ago today, this temperature was at 80 degrees and 75 in Arcadia. Currently, the evening planner looks to be pretty nice. Temperatures into the mid 60s to upper 60s by 11 o'clock tonight, under generally fair skies as the high pressure moves in. Lows tomorrow to start the day off. Upper 50s in Northport, Venice at 63, 62 in Sarasota, 64 Longboat Key, and temperatures in the upper 50s to low 60s well inland as well into Wauchula, Arcadia, and as well as Sebring. The wind flow will be out of the north, and that will keep skies generally sunny and cool tomorrow. High temperatures, I mentioned, in the mid 70s of most places, some upper 70s scattered about. The winds won't be all that strong, but they'll pick up a little bit in the afternoon out of the north as that high pressure ridge kind of moves over Georgia. Now, as far as the radar review goes, a few showers still lingering along the east coast, mainly into southeastern portions of Polk County. So the futurecast calling for clear skies. I don't think we'll see the fog problem like we saw this morning. We had quite a bit of dense fog, especially inland areas to start today, but because of that north wind and the drier air in place, the fog should not be a problem tomorrow morning. Well, the futurecast on the GFS model showing as far as travel day goes, and it's a big travel day, one of the biggest of the year as far as air travel goes, and high pressure sprawling across much of the central U.S. will be good news for travelers into the central U.S. The Northeast is the only problem that may see some problems from Maine all the way down into New York. Again, on Friday, looking pretty good. It will be cold, though, for the Macy's Day Parade. Temperatures will be right around 20 degrees there. And then rainfall mainly on the return flights home if you're coming back on the weekend. Could be some stormy weather, just mainly rainfall though, over the Northeast. And another major storm starts to take shape on Monday. That one will cool us down here significantly next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. We're talking temperatures into the low 70s for highs on both Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. So that'll be the changing weather pattern again next week. Currently, we have fair skies and 72. Winds are out of the north at 7. And as we showed you earlier, the high temperature today did warm to 81. And 88 is the record high. Talking about Canadians coming down, this is the reason why they may come down. 19 right now in Montreal, Ottawa, not much warmer. We are looking at temperatures in the 40s over the central U.S. And as far as our forecast goes, it's looking good for the next 7 days. We'll call for just a slight chance for a shower or two come Saturday morning, but better chances by Saturday afternoon and evening. Temperatures for Thanksgiving looking pretty good, mid 70s. Alan will be back with his guests right after this.
According to Golf Digest, 2 of the nation's top golf resorts are on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, the Auburn Opelika Marriott at Grand National, and the Renaissance Ross Bridge Golf Resort and Spa in Birmingham. Plus, the Marriott at Grand National was recognized as Hotel of the Year by Marriott International. Experience luxury and world-class golf Southern style. Visit rtjgolf/resorts or call 800-949-4444 to book your trip to the trail.
Christmas Traditions by Lux Art Silks, where more is merrier. Make your holidays sparkle with style. Browse our amazing showroom, cute collectible cottages, and beautiful Christmas displays. Find the inspiration, selection, and quality you need to deck the halls merry and bright. Christmas Traditions also features the area's largest selection of quality pre-lit Christmas trees, every size, shape, and color, and plenty of decorations to make your home shine for the holidays. Christmas Traditions by Lux Art Silks, where more is merrier. Visit us on New 301, just a quarter-mile north of University Parkway.
I'm Deshauna Barber. In 2016, I was proud to win the title of Miss USA. What makes me just as proud is my service in the U.S. military. In the service, a soldier gains skills and learns values like discipline and leadership. That makes them an asset to any business that hires them. If you're an employer, on behalf of Coalition to Salute America's Heroes, remember to hire smart and bet on a vet. Visit saluteheroes.org or call this number to learn more.
For more than 100 years, American Humane Association has been teaching kids to be kind to animals. Those in our homes, on the farms, on the silver screen, and wildlife conservation, caring for the world's vanishing creatures. But we can't do it alone. Visit kindness100.org to find ways to teach kids how they can make a more caring, compassionate, and humane world for all of us.
Once you get atrial fibrillation, you need to have a very close relationship with your primary doctor. Prevention is the whole ball game here, because once you have a stroke, you can't undo it. A year without stroke, it's a year that you can enjoy doing the things that you've worked all your life to finally get to do. You took care of yourself. You did what is necessary for you to be around one more year. And then next year, we'll celebrate one more year without a stroke.
We believe in patriotism. We believe in our nation's youth. We believe veterans earn their benefits through their service to our nation. We believe in a strong national security. We believe in our country. For 100 years, veterans have been impacting our nation through the American Legion, and we believe it makes a difference. If you believe, learn more at legion.org/webelieve.
Welcome back. We are talking about the return of the snowbirds, and joining us for more are Virginia Haley, the president of Visit Sarasota, Kevin Cooper, president of the Sarasota Chamber of Commerce, and Jerry Zivick, our own consumer watchdog in Virginia. As I said in the setup piece, there has been a real issue in terms of the relations between President Trump and the Canadian government. There are tariffs that we levied against Canadian steel right now, and I'm wondering, do you hear anything in terms of the impact on that, in terms of the number of Canadians coming down here?
We really haven't, and it's something that we've watched from Sarasota, that Florida has closely monitored as a state, and it's just not a driving factor. They know us. They know the American people. They're familiar with Florida. You know, a lot of our Canadian snowbirds come here to see their Canadian friends and family. It's a reunion gathering place for them. And I don't think that the political world has a real impact on that.
What about other tourists from Europe, especially during this time of year, like the Germans or the British?
With the British, obviously the big concern with that market is the impact of Brexit. And just worrying about it. They're coming up to the deadline. It is all consuming in the news there. But again, it doesn't seem to be deterring them from their vacation plans with us. Germany, there's a little bit more sensitivity that we've seen to the political issues.
And Kevin, have you seen that impact business?
No, I think Virginia touched on it pretty well. It's about the acute awareness of a country's citizens to the geopolitical climate. And when you look at what we have to offer here in the state of Florida, you know, most people aren't aware of steel tariffs. They don't think about that in terms of, they think about the beaches and they think about the arts and the culture and they think about the environmental assets that we possess here in Florida. That's not primary in their mind. What we have is a pretty stable culture here. It's safe, it's friendly, and that's what people are worried about when they're really coming on holiday. They're not thinking about, well, how are we buying caviar and how are we buying steel and what are we doing with those things? That's not really primary in the mind of a traveler. What they're thinking about is, am I able to enjoy the assets they have? Is it safe? Is it stable? Can I enjoy myself and my family? And we check all the boxes here in the state of Florida, particularly in Sarasota.
And Jerry, we'll talk about this more in a little bit, but the relative economic situation in Europe as opposed to us is something I would imagine that you may have tourists and snowbirds coming here with less spending power. I know it fluctuates, but it's something that middle-income folks everywhere have to take into account.
Well, absolutely. And just as when the dollar is weak against the European currencies, Americans don't travel in the same numbers. And if the Europeans do come here, do they spend the same amount of money? Absolutely not. So there is an impact. The global economy impacts Sarasota.
And Kevin, we only have a few seconds left here, but you said earlier we've had a number of natural disasters that kind of could have possibly impacted tourism, from the BP oil spill and other red tide incidents.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen this, we've seen blips on the radar here. The BP oil spill, Deepwater Horizon. We saw a pretty significant red tide impact not too long ago where we did have fish kills and we had to go out and clear them off the beaches. You see Hurricane Irma come through. But what we've proven time and time again in Sarasota County and the state of Florida, we are incredibly resilient, not only as a business community, but as a tourism destination.
Okay, we have to take a little break here. We are just getting warmed up. Our conversation on the return of the snowbirds will continue after a quick break, so stay with us.
art. Want to know a secret? If you're looking for the best selection of area rugs at an unbelievable price, the only place you need to look is Rugs is Art. I know what you're thinking. Expensive, right? Wrong. Rugs is Art has the largest selection of area rugs on the west coast of Florida in a variety of styles, with 8x11 area rugs starting at $199. Largest selection, personalized service, and unbelievably low prices. You'll find it all at Rugs is Art.
Rugs as Art, Sarasota's only area rug superstore.
Don't allow your weight to threaten your health or control your future. Excess weight or obesity can cause emotional and physical health risks. But you can take control. The Your Weight Matters campaign offers free resources and tips to help you measure and understand your weight. Take the Your Weight Matters Challenge. The free toolkit prepares you to speak with a healthcare provider about your weight. Your weight does matter. Take the challenge and take control today.
Women have shed their blood in defense of America since the dawn of the Republic.
They didn't have to sign that dotted line. They chose to.
Their sacrifices are profound.
If there was bad guys out there, we'd go out and find them.
And their noble accomplishments largely ignored.
No damn women aboard.
Unsung Heroes, the story of America's female patriots.
She's getting shot at out there.
An inspiring saga of perseverance and triumph.
Sunday at 10 on ABC 7.
This is the story of a boy who is very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help, and slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Recovery from mental and substance use disorders is real.
You can recover.
It's possible. It happens every day.
Never give up on yourself.
Discover hope and help.
I thought I was too far gone. I wasn't.
Join the Voices for Recovery.
The world is a beautiful place again.
For 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral for mental and substance use disorders for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HELP.
When it comes to drinking, what do you think moderation is? The U.S. Dietary Guidelines define moderation as up to 1 drink a day for women and up to 2 drinks a day for men. So what's a drink? The guidelines say a drink equals 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, or a cocktail with 1.5 ounces of distilled spirits. Each contains the same amount of alcohol. Like to learn more? Visit drinkinmoderation.org.
It's been about a month, and I can honestly say I've seen the change in me. I went from being a depressed girl who didn't want help to this happy, caring girl who loves helping other people. I just really hope that people that went through what I went through get the help that they need, because their story is important and they are loved. Thank you so much for everything.
ABC 7 News at 7 weeknights. You're watching ABC 7 News at 7:30.
Welcome back. We are talking about the return of the snowbirds, and joining us for more are Virginia Haley, president of Visit Sarasota, Kevin Cooper, president of the Sarasota Chamber of Commerce, and Jerry Zivick, our ABC 7 consumer watchdog. And Virginia, I want to start with you again to talk about the realization in Florida that we were marketing the wrong folks. How did that happen? How was it realized, and what did we do about it?
I think it took the new leadership at Visit Florida, Ken Lawson, and sitting down with the Canadian Consulate Office and really saying, you have a diverse marketing strategy for the United States to target the different interests of eco and outdoors and cultural, family vacations. Why aren't you doing that with Canada? Why do you treat Canada as a single monolithic market when it's a very diverse country?
So how were we treating Canada, and where were we losing market value or market share to?
We weren't really recognizing that Canada has a lot of different people with different interests, and we were sort of portraying the old Florida. As soon as you began to diversify that message, you got a much better response from Canada. And now we're in a position to take back the market we lost to California and Hawaii.
I wonder what part of that is also a regional issue. Do people on the west coast of Canada prefer to go maybe to California or Hawaii, and that we're getting folks from the Midwest and the Northeast?
Very much so. Very much so.
Kevin, there's been a lot of progress made in terms of developing more flights coming into SRQ. Just announcement within the last couple of weeks about more flights coming in from Baltimore during spring training season and other parts of the country. How is that helping business? And are we seeing, or do you expect to see the results of that this coming winter?
Yeah, I think it's the question is kind of multifaceted, and it helps business tremendously. I mean, travelers are about convenience, and when they can make a direct flight into a local airport, they're much more apt to do so. And so we're introducing a lot of new people to market that may have not otherwise been able to do so, and they're seeing the convenience of Sarasota-Bradenton International Airport as a hub, an area they can come in and be introduced to Sarasota. But what we also know, going to the snowbird concept, is people get introduced to Sarasota, and it's not hard for us to get the hook in. And they see it, and they come down 1 year, they come down 2 years, they come there 3 years, and they go, instead of staying a week, maybe we'll stay a month. And then once we stay a month, when they're ready for retirement age, they want to come in and it's like, hey, let's buy a property. And what we know, as I mentioned, that in Sarasota just a couple of years ago, only 40% of the properties that were purchased the year prior were homesteaded the following year. So that means 60% of the properties that were purchased here in Sarasota were not designated as a primary residence. What we saw is people coming into this marketplace and they wanted to set up shop and come here and be snowbirds. And that's positive for everybody.
And we've been talking about the Canadian snowbirds coming back and those from Europe, Germany, and Great Britain, but still the vast majority of snowbirds, you say, are coming from other parts of the U.S.
Not even just other parts of the U.S., but the state of Florida. Our #1 market is the state of Florida. Drive markets that come into Sarasota and secondary homes that are purchased by other people in the state of Florida. You'd be surprised how many people are just coming in from Manatee County. But then, yeah, when you look across the United States, places like Chicago, places like Baltimore, Washington, places like Philadelphia and Cleveland, those are our hotspots. The Canadian market is critical for vacation and tourism, but really when you look at secondary home purchases, those people that are in the United States that do not have a zip code here are primary.
And Jerry, when we talk about the new flights coming into SRQ, I would imagine this cannot be more important, because one of the greater difficulties when flying into to SRQ or into this area previously is that it costs more to do so rather than some of the flights out of Tampa or Orlando, because it is not a main travel route. More flights, I would imagine, would bring down the cost to tourists and to snowbirds to get here.
Well, when we first started to come down here, we were able to come to SRQ nonstop from Chicago, and it was very affordable. And then something happened that SRQ lost all of its nonstop flights to Chicago. It made no sense. And it's taken a long time for the airport to recover, but apparently now they're making some progress with major cities where they're getting nonstop flights. But then you have the issue still about pricing for these flights. I mean, you're talking about $200 difference to go up to Tampa versus leaving from Sarasota. I mean, there's a tipping point for everybody where people will say, well, I'll just go up to Tampa because of the savings. So the more that Sarasota makes it convenient for people to come here, the more the community is going to thrive.
We're not aviation experts here, but what can be done about that?
Well, I think the fact that we've introduced Allegiant and Frontier, the low-fare carriers, into SRQ has changed the whole nature of service into our community. I mean, these are the ones that you can get the amazing, $150 round-trip flight. It's exactly what we needed for our airport, both, as Kevin mentioned, direct service and the low fare. So all of a sudden, we are absolutely competitive with Orlando, with Tampa.
Well, and I think sometimes the focus is to look at the airport and go, well, what did the airport do? And really it was more about the industry. The industry has massively consolidated in recent years, and you go from 20 or 30 carriers down to 8 or 9 carriers, and that just creates displacement in the market that has zero really to do with the airport. The landing fees are very reasonable at Sarasota International, Bradenton International Airport. Rick Piccolo is doing a really great job in creating a really great experience for people that are flying through SRQ. It really had more to do with the airline industry and what was happening around us. was. But now the industry, I think, is actually catching up with Sarasota, and what they're finding is they were able to have very incredible launches like Allegiant found. I mean, they launched to 3 cities, and it was so successful that they came in and backed at 9 almost immediately.
Are you concerned that it seems that, and this is not just Sarasota, I've seen this happen in other places too, that you have the announcements of these new flights, these new airlines coming in, but something happens, an economic slowdown or something, and then they pull right back and it doesn't last?
The airline industry is more savvy than it's ever been. And before it makes an interest in going into a destination, it knows so much about it from the data, it is almost foregone. I mean, buying an airplane is a very complex financial decision that one makes. They don't have a lot of excess capacity sitting around. When they make a decision to go into a market, they have studied it ad nauseum. And the propensity for a new destination to fail for one of these airlines is very minimal, because they almost know before they launch it that it is going to be successful.
So what kind of coordination is there in the travel industry, whether it's the airlines or other entities there, and the Chamber of Commerce and Visit Sarasota to try to really maximize the number of folks who can get here and get here economically?
Well, we call ourselves Team Sarasota, Team SRQ, because there are roles for all of us. With Visit Sarasota and with my colleagues in Manatee County, we have a marketing fund that is there in our budget that the airport knows when they sit down and meet with an airline. They don't have to pick up the phone and call Elliott, call Virginia. They know that money's there. Now this year they happen to blow right through that budget, and we've had to triple that budget, but that's the kind of budget adjustment I'll make any day of the week. So we provide that marketing support in the origin markets, and then of course the Chamber helps to promote it here locally.
And here's another question. Have we seen the benefits yet over the long term in terms of the World Rowing Championship, which really was a big financial commitment of the area, and also other things that are taking place at Benderson Park, and also where are we in terms of growing the market share when it comes to spring training baseball?
Well, with the Nathan Benderson Park and the rowing, the impact has been so long lasting. One of the signs is team training. So we have private high schools, university, colleges here in the U.S. and abroad that come down here for 7 to 10 days to do their team training during the winter. That's the kind of that's the kind of business that no one really knows is going on unless you're out at the lake. It doesn't cost us a lot in terms of infrastructure, but it fills up the hotels midweek and introduces young athletes to this area, and we're seeing them coming back.
And Kevin, I would imagine with spring training baseball, we're getting the Braves now. That's opening up a whole other market, the Atlanta area. Are we still where are we in terms of people who are coming down here in terms of spring training, tourism, and staying for a while?
Yeah, really our experience thus far has exceeded all expectations. When you look at the Baltimore Orioles, they have far exceeded any economic impact that they predicted when they first were coming into the marketplace. And what you know is that there are 67 counties in the state of Florida. There are 15 Major League Baseball teams that call Florida home for spring training. We have 2 of them now in Sarasota County. I mean, it's indescribable. And really from a traveler's perspective, you can come down, you can check out a Pirates game, an Orioles game, a Braves game, and a Rays game in spring training and not really have to leave your hotel. You can stay there and it's in a closed drive market. And the opportunity that is presented here is almost second to none.
Okay, we have to take another quick break. We want to thank our guests, Virginia Haley, President of Visit Sarasota, Kevin Cooper, President of the Sarasota Chamber of Commerce, and Jerry Zivick, our ABC7 consumer watchdog. When we return, Jerry Zivick will stay right here to discuss the strategies for Black Friday, so stick around.